So, you're thinking of creating an organization of your own. You've probably got some ideas of what it would be like. Well, whatever you've thought of, there's at least 100 organizations that are already doing the same thing. But does it matter? Let's look at the numbers. If you head over to robertspaceindustries.com and find the community section, you'll find the directory of all official Star Citizen organizations. If you go further into the filters, you'll eventually see the total number of organizations that are supposedly registered. I say supposedly because I've seen this number fluctuate dramatically over short periods of time, well beyond what I'd expect to be a natural pace of orgs being set up and shut down. I've seen it range anything from roughly 57,000 to about 98,000 at any given time. What is constant, however, are the numbers of medium and large organizations. These tend to hold relatively steady, from what I'm guessing is a greater importance given by the back-end system that tracks these things. So what's the difference between small, medium, and large? Small organizations are classified by having 1 to 9 members. Medium organizations have between 10 and 49. Large organizations look after 50 members and over, with the largest player-run organization totaling almost 20,000 members. Even though someone might have had the same idea as you, and got there before you, only about 5% of organizations ever make it past 9 members, and only 1% ever grow beyond 50. This means, if you put in the work, the team you create can grow to become one of the top groups within the Star Citizen community. I'm Human Element, and I'm going to let you know what it takes to make your Star Citizen organization succeed. I'll share my learnings from previously co-founding, running, and growing a Star Citizen organization in hopes that it might benefit those of you who already are, or aspire to be, involved in leading a team of your own. For everyone else, hopefully the videos I post will help you identify what to look out for when searching for a group to play with, what you stand to gain by playing well with others, and what you can personally do to improve the organizations you already fly with. In this first episode, we'll cover the most important considerations for anyone undertaking this journey. We'll break it down into 3 sections. The basics, things that more or less everyone knows and which are the bare minimums of making an organization. The fundamentals, important principles which only some groups get to grips with. And the golden rules, which are in my opinion 100% essential for any player-run organization that wants to stand out from the crowd. This episode is meant to offer a general overview of all the important topics you need to consider, and I'll be revisiting many of these in greater detail and hopefully with more insight from other community members and organization leaders in future episodes. So let's jump into it. First up, you need a brand. This is a set of images that will represent and distinguish you online and perhaps one day in the verse itself if we ever get the ability to display org logos in-game. While it would be very good if your brand is something driven by your vision, helping to communicate your story, it's not essential. At its most basic, a brand is something that simply helps people identify your team at a glance. It's often the first thing people will see of your organization when they're looking to find one on RSI's site. So it's worth putting a little effort into it. Nothing quite disappears into the background better than the default logos. It's also worth mentioning that while it's totally cool to base your org's brand on the IP of your favorite sci-fi franchise, it might get in the way of your team receiving any sort of recognition through official channels further down the line. I haven't seen any hard and fast rules on that, but I just wanted to throw it out there as a possibility. Next up, recruitment and advertising. This is mostly done in 3 places: Spectrum Recruitment Chat, Spectrum Organizations Forum, and our Star Citizen Guilds. The important thing to remember is that these are community hubs. Don't make the mistake of thinking they're only there for you to get something out of them, and don't fall into the trap of promising things that are either untrue or that you can't deliver on. If you don't add value by bringing good information, honest offers, and/or good discourse, you'll just be one of the many orgs that post and ghost. You'll be overlooked, and people won't really have a chance to get a sense of who they'll be joining. In Recruitment Chat, it's honestly going to be a challenge to maintain any meaningful discussions, because it's frequented mostly by recruiters and made up almost entirely of org advertisements. While it's a good place to advertise, the other locations are going to make it easier to either find members who are looking for group, or to post something attention-grabbing and generate a conversation around it. Another thing that shouldn't be overlooked is that it's worthwhile supporting and getting to know the other recruiters. One day you might want to organize events with the other groups, and finding out what sort of people they are will help inform you whether or not that might be a good match. In other words, interact respectfully with everyone you meet. It may pay off dividends in the future. One often overlooked place to meet prospective members is, believe it or not, in the actual game. There's always somebody online or in server chat looking for a little help or company. Play with them and give them a hand. When the session is over, they might ask if you'll be around another time or if you'd like to friend with them. That's a decent time to plug your organization and let them know there's a helpful group of people just like you whom you play with regularly. Let your new acquaintance know they can spend some time with your group without any need for commitment. And that's important. Get to know people and let them get to know you. Running a successful organization is a long game. You want everyone involved to feel it's a good fit. Don't focus on the numbers or retaining people who just aren't a good fit. If you do things right, your numbers will grow. There will always be a temptation to build the numbers for the sake of it, thinking people will be attracted to an organization with good membership, but the good feeling won't last long if there are other key elements that have been overlooked, such as cohesiveness and activity. One final way of recruiting is sending invitations to backers through RSI's website. I've seen this quite often over the years and often by the same orgs, so I don't think there's many people doing it. It is, in my opinion, a great way to make a first impression on a new backer who knows nothing about the game or where to start. While I haven't personally used this method, I believe there's a way to find or filter for new backers, as I've mostly received this sort of invitation right after creating alternate accounts. If anyone knows how this works, please leave a comment below. Last of the basics, community engagement. I'd recommend that you and your members participate in conversations both on Reddit and Spectrum. To effectively grow your team, you need to be tapped into the living, beating heart of the Star Citizen community. You need to be participating in meaningful conversations, events run by other organizations, in-game dynamic events, and more. You'll develop a reputation, you'll get to know who the movers and shakers are, who you like, who you dislike, etc. The community is a great source of inspiration for player-driven gameplay ideas, information about lore, ship mechanics, gameplay guides, and more. Bear in mind that it's easy to consume information and content. See if you can think of ways your team can contribute to the community. There's nothing more attractive than seeing a group that's willing to share some of the secrets of their success and the tools that help them succeed. Just don't use every opportunity to shout about your org. Certainly not if it's unsolicited or if you're a guest in someone else's event. It's a surefire way of never being invited back for the fun. Now we'll move on to the fundamentals. If you can't get these under your belt, you're gonna struggle to grow. There are some elements of running an organization that you can share with others, but these aren't them. These fall squarely on the leader's shoulders, and in my mind, leaders is plural. I know from experience that 2 or more people can helm an organization successfully, they just need to be on the same page where all these points are concerned. To start with, you need a clear vision. From a practical point of view, you want to know exactly the sort of gameplay your org will be involved in. The temptation might be to do a little bit of everything, but I'd personally recommend against it. The 2 main reasons being, firstly, there's a lot of organizations that already follow this model, and if you choose to do the same, you'll automatically be making every other organization your competition, because you'll be targeting the same kind of players. This may negatively impact your ability to network, which will give you an almost impossible start. Secondly, it might make doing things in the verse together difficult, because you've got one guy who wants to haul, one guy who wants to fly a fighter, and one guy who's only interested in ground combat. But what you wanted to do was fully crew a larger ship for an event with another organization. You might think this scenario is an exaggeration, but it isn't. I've seen this happen frequently. Now, it's not necessarily a consequence of going generalized, but running an organization that allows people to play how they want comes with an expectation that they can do exactly that. If you specialize in one profession over 10 of them, there's an expectation that everyone who has joined has done so to play together with like-minded people. I find this model attracts those who will more readily play together even if it's not your area of focus, because they're interested in team play. Your vision needs to encompass everything from how your organization will be structured, how your members can progress within the group, how they can expect to be paid, how often they will play with each other, what sort of humor and atmosphere they can expect, and more. The clearer you can communicate your vision, the easier it will be for others to buy into what you're selling. You won't have all the answers to these as you get started, or even until things like organization tools get built into the persistent universe, but you can at least communicate an intention and keep adding to your vision over time. No one will expect you to deliver on everything by yourself, but you've got to set the course and steer your team the right direction. Without your vision, goals can't be set and progress can't be measured, and what gets measured gets done. The next point is about being organized. As we've just covered, your vision defines your goals, and your goals are what you use to measure your progress. Your collection of goals and actions required for you to reach them form your plan. You need one, and you need to write it down somewhere. It'll keep your eyes on the prize. I'd encourage you to check out some of the free online tools that are available like Google Docs and Trello to make your life easier as you slowly work your way towards your long-term goals, and so you and your team can hit the ground running once the game eventually exits its alpha and beta phases. Having your plan written down will also be incredibly valuable when you come to enrolling others to help you make it happen. It'll save you time explaining everything time and time again when a new member joins. Throwing the general description of what your org does on your RSI page or the welcome message of your Discord server would be a good place for this type of info. It gives members a better understanding of what your plans are and frees up your time to focus on any questions they might have, which is a much easier way to build rapport with a prospective member than just giving someone your elevator pitch. I'd also recommend you find a way to track and measure some important elements of what would tie in with your plan. I'm not talking about recruitment rates, member retention, event frequency, or event turnout. That would be a bureaucratic waste of time. These things will shift for so many different reasons, and only a handful of them will have anything to do with you. In short, activity depends more on the playable state of the game and the success or failure of each patch and annual sale than anything you are or aren't doing. The only thing you can influence with regards to activity is finding the type of player who still enjoys the game, even though there's a limited amount of reliable gameplay to be enjoyed. Back to the topic of being organized, tracking something like your team's fleet makes sense, as this would help you understand what you can bring to an event, but what matters most is member feedback. Being able to keep an eye on this will help you learn what works and what doesn't, and show where you're falling down and where you might need some help. It will also hopefully inform you of the things you're doing well. You won't be able to hold all this information in your head, because you'll have other things going on in your life, so find a place to write them down. Next to the fundamentals, you've got to work well with others. You won't be able to run an organization on your own. If you're doing it right, you're gonna need help. Notice I didn't say you need the ability to play well with others. We'll come to that later. Whether you like it or not, running a team is going to involve a minimal amount of work, and the more people you can share it with, the greater your chances of success. You obviously want to get the right people to help you, ones who understand that a position of responsibility within your organization isn't a green light to throw their weight around in a chat room. It will involve their time and effort. I'm not talking about hours of time-wasting crap that would make anyone responsible for it feel like they're doing an unpaid internship. More like a semi-regular trickle of things that just need a little attention. If it feels like it's life-consuming for anyone involved, you or they are doing it wrong. We'll cover delegation and the appointment of roles in a future episode, but suffice to say, don't rush to hand out responsibilities. Up next, stick to your promises. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you set an event or promise to do something, make sure it happens. Integrity is the only currency an online community leader can trade in. Things will obviously go wrong sometimes, and that's natural, but if you lose the trust of your members or your network, you're in for a rough ride. Integrity is also something you should expect of your members. This doesn't mean that people should be required to attend every event. It means that if they commit to something, they should follow through. For example, you propose a gaming night. 10 people say they're going to show up at an agreed time for a couple hours of group trading. The time comes and only you and 2 others turn up. That sucks. The problem isn't just the reliability of the 7 people who didn't show. If left unchecked, it sends a message that it's okay to flake on commitments, meaning the likelihood of it happening again increases. And it's going to leave a lasting impression on everyone in your Discord channel, not just the 2 guys who attended, that your org can't be trusted to deliver the group gameplay that they're all looking forward to. Now, I'm not suggesting you go nuclear on the offenders. That would be lame. It's a video game at the end of the day. But it would be worthwhile setting an expectation that commitments should mean something, as they're the only way you're going to be able to coordinate complex gameplay sessions further down the line. Last of the fundamentals will be communication and listening skills. This is pretty straightforward. Running an organization isn't just about you. It's about everyone in your team. You need to be able to communicate your ideas and goals and genuinely listen to your members' thoughts. The more your members feel free to share their ideas and concerns, the more likely it is you'll find solutions to problems you've been stuck on, or answers to those you might not have even considered. You don't have to agree with everything everyone says, but you owe it to everyone to give them the time of day. After all, they're giving you theirs. And that gives us a nice segue into our first golden rule. Look after your members. Your team is your greatest asset. Without them, you're nothing. Nobody wants to be just another member on an org roster. They want value, they want to add value, and they want to be valued. That's the whole point of playing an MMO. We all ultimately want the satisfaction and benefits of playing with others and contributing to the team. Being a leader doesn't make you better than your members. It just means you've got to work harder to keep their trust and loyalty by delivering on your promises. And your public actions will have public consequences. You should be weighing the pros and cons of every decision you make through the lens of, what will this mean for my members? Some opportunities might seem like a really great idea, but there may be potentially negative consequences that don't immediately meet the eye. So don't feel the need to rush into anything you haven't had a chance to fully mull over. I know some awesome leaders that don't appear to have to think about this sort of thing. They're just naturals. I, on the other hand, felt I had to make a real conscious effort to keep this at the forefront of my mind until thinking like this became closer to second nature. My point here is that I think anyone can grow and develop into a decent org leader. Next up, learn to play well together. Even if your org's main gameplay loop isn't in the game yet, play the game we have today. Play collaboratively, create gameplay, set scenarios, roles, objectives, and work things out together. Why is this important? Star Citizen is unlike any other game before it, in that many ships are simply not viable when flown solo. Many of them will require multiple players to work in tandem to achieve certain goals, whether it's manning the helm, navigation, tactical, engineering, etc. And even then, many of these multi-crew ships will require the support of other ships to operate safely and effectively. So the importance of being able to work well and play well with a large coordinated group spanning multiple vessels and locations is going to be critical to the eventual success of any organization. It might feel like a bit of a chore to get into the habit of practicing regular sessions where you focus on the processes of team play, but eventually, as everyone gets more familiar with the benefits of doing it well, these events will develop into rewarding and enjoyable experiences in their own right. And that leads me onto the last and most important rule. Have fun. If it isn't fun, or if it won't make it easier to have fun in the future, it's not worth doing. Consider as well that a significant portion of the player base are adults. Our time is precious. Therefore, the little time we can dedicate to gaming, we'll want it to be both satisfactory and meaningful. None of us will want to sit around on a landing pad while we're waiting to get organized. It's gonna happen because the game still isn't stable enough with the party's server generation to have event setups run reliably without hitch, But what you can do is get everyone onto a VoIP server 10 to 15 minutes beforehand to run through a quick and simple brief to minimize holdups. It's also worth setting the event's prerequisites with at least a week's notice for anyone looking to participate. That means everybody should have an indication on where to spawn and what crime stat is acceptable. And that's it for this episode. I suspect this might have been a little dense with information, and in many ways still only managed to scratch the surface, but I'm grateful to those that made it this far. What do you think? Do you agree? Disagree? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. One last thing you do before you go, if you like this video, please share it with a friend, or even better, your organization. I'd love to expand the conversation on what makes good leadership, and to hear your thoughts on it. If conversations about cooperative gameplay are of interest to you, please like and subscribe to keep up to date with my upcoming content. You can also find me active on Twitter and Discord, where you can interact with me directly. Until next time, this is Human Element, signing out. Looking forward to sharing with you and learning with you what it takes to succeed in the verse.